Welcome back, Screamers, and welcome to an episode where we try to uncover the depths of corporate fuckery and bullshittiness to try to figure out this whole Alamo Drafthouse closing and reopening scenario here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I hope this episode or mini-sode or diversion finds you well. This is Jason sans Brock because we have scheduling problems, but I didn't want to let this go on too long without making some sort of comment about the most recent announcement that Alamo Drafthouses are back, baby. They're back. Hell yeah, man. We're going to have movies in Dallas-Fort Worth again, right? And everything's cool and nothing ever happened. And it's like a high school girlfriend who just took a break for a couple of weeks because she wanted to give handjobs to that guy that had the cool Corvette. And this is a thing that never happened to me. But now he went on to college and she wants to be back with us because she needs to date to prom for senior year. I don't know what I'm talking about, but this is kind of what we're getting into tonight with this Alamo Drafthouse situation. So if you haven't heard, and again, I'm without Brock because of scheduling issues. I don't know if I already said that or not. It's only been less than a minute into this mini-sode, and I've already forgotten my place. But Brock is not going to be chiming in. So for some of you, that will be good news. For most of you, including me, it's bad news because I'm just going to have to ramble on for however long I ramble on this subject. And it's not a subject that I'm exactly happy to start talking about. But I felt like since we talked about the closings and we talked about this dour note, can we now see a silver lining, or are there still issues with how this is all played out? I don't know. Let's dig in and let's see. So, about a week or so ago, basically 3 weeks after the Alamo Drafthouses closed. And when I say closed, they shut down without warning, 600 people without a job. They woke up one day thinking, hey, we're going to go work at a place that we love. We're going to go give movies to the masses. We're going to make the movie-going experience, this declining theatrical experience where everyone is lamenting that the floors are too sticky, the crowds are too unruly, the sound mix is never good. We're going to go because we care about all of those things. We're going to go to work yet another day. We're going to put on the badge. We're going to put on the vest. We're going to put on the paper hat, and we're going to fucking give every single person that comes through the door of an Alamo Drafthouse the best damn movie experience that we possibly can give them. And that's what every single one of those 600 people, maybe not all of them, but most of them to a person, thought when they got up that morning. We're going to make this another great Alamo day. We're going to make some moviegoers happy, and we're going to do it, and we're going to be great. Hi ho, hi ho. We're going to go mine some diamonds, and this is going to be how we make sure that the world is right in our little way that we can. Woke up, boom, no notice. Their owners shut the theaters down, declared Chapter 7 bankruptcy, the kind of worst the bankruptcy that you can possibly declare, because it means you can no longer operate your business. You have to shut down, your assets are being sold off, etc., etc. We all know that story. We all cried about that story. It was very sad. It is very sad. And I sound facetious when I'm saying it, but I'm very serious. It was sad. It sucked for the 600 people. It sucked for the movie-going populace in Dallas-Fort Worth. But it sucked for those 600 people who woke up that morning thinking they had the ability to pay their bills, the ability to go and do work that they cared about, and it was taken away from them in a blink of an eye with no fucking warning whatsoever. That happened. That sucks. So, here we are. 3 weeks later in bankruptcy court, and 2 weeks later after that, or even a week, I guess, after the closings happened, Sony announces that they buy the theaters, right? Oh, okay. Well, maybe there's something to look forward to now that a movie production house can own the means of distribution. Maybe we can fool ourselves in thinking that Sony products won't be pushed from a perspective of technical products and electronics to movies to what have you. Maybe those won't be pushed. Maybe that's not going to be a big deal. Maybe it's okay that Sony owns the theater. But at the very least, hey, they're owned by someone who I guess should care about the theatrical experience, right? They should care about movies. Let's hope so. So, okay, maybe that's a great thing. Maybe that's a good thing. We're still closed down in DFW, right? So we're still closed. That sucks. It's going to take a while to get through Chapter 7. And we may not see Alamo Drafthouses here in, years. It may take years. And probably will take years. And then Sony's like, well, we want to get these up and running as fast as we can. The Alamo, when they closed down, like, oh my gosh, we couldn't believe this. What happened? Like, we didn't know. We had no clue that Chapter 7 was actually going to happen. That's what they said. We were as shocked as everyone else that the franchisees took the steps that they did to close these theaters. Bullshit, but okay, that's what they said. So here we are. A week after that or so, there is a bankruptcy hearing in a court in Dallas, I believe, maybe Irving, I don't know. It's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And four companies came to the table to bid on the 6 locations, the 6 theaters. And those entities were Studio Movie Grill, Look Cinemas, Flicks Brewhouse, and Alamo Drafthouse. Newly owned Sony Corporation, Alamo Drafthouse, all came to the table. Flicks and Look Cinemas actually tried to pull their bid together to win the theaters. And lo and behold, Sony outbid them all with a bid of $5.8, $5.7, $5.9 million. Effectively buying back all the franchises. Hey man, they made an announcement. We're back, baby. We're back. And we can't wait to be back in DFW. We're going to open up as soon as possible. We're going to open up in late summer. Some people were saying in 2 weeks, which was a ridiculous thing to say out loud. Some people were saying 8 to 10 weeks, which I still think is a little advantageous, but probably doable given, just the current climate and the fact that you've got 600 unemployed people that you probably can tap into. But okay, 8 to 10 weeks, late summer is what we're talking about. We don't know exactly when. No dates have been given. And so late summer, Alamo Drafthouse is back. We're going to have cool movies back in DFW. And to that end, supposedly and again, I have not read the final report from the bankruptcy hearing. I don't know if there will actually be one. I don't know the details of everything that's there. And so, and I'm not a bankruptcy expert, as I've said before. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a person who does my own research on the internet for whatever that's worth these days. And I have made some pseudo logical deductions, which may not be based in fact or anything other than what I feel. So that being said, I'm going to completely own up to that these are just my emotions on this. I don't have any necessarily real basis in fact outside of what's been presented. And nothing's been presented that I can find on the hearing itself, other than Mondo bought it for a under $6 million buying price. I have heard that $250,000 of that will go to the employees to pay back pay. Back pay is better than no pay, sure, and its back pay now is better than back pay in 6 years from now when all this shit gets sorted out in a regular Chapter 7 liquidation auction. So sure, happy for those employees. They get the dollars that they were owed, that they should have been paid the day that all of this fucking closed. And the reason they weren't is because the franchisees, owners in DFW, chose the day they chose to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy so they wouldn't have to pay the fucking employees. They did it knowing that they owed paychecks, knowing that they owed paychecks to people that depended on that money, that earned that money, that needed that money. They chose to file that day because they didn't want to pay out the amount of money they had to pay out. Fun. Cool. So the employees should be getting some of that, if not all of that money back. But what they won't get back, anxiety, stress, any sort of credit hits that they took because they didn't pay their bills on time, eviction notices, medical bills unpaid, loss of benefits. But yeah, they're not getting any of that back. It's still going to be 8 to 10 weeks before they actually get a job back. If they want to come back, if they're hired back. Supposedly Sony has said that the people that were a part of Alamo Drafthouse theaters will have first shot at applying at these open positions. Guarantee you Not all of the positions will be open. And just giving them a chance to apply for their old jobs is kind of bullshit. It should be, here's an offer letter. If you want it, let us know. Fuck you making you apply for a job you had that you were let go of, but for no reason of no fault of your own. Okay, that's where we're at though. So on the surface, I'm glad that they're back, and I'm glad that the employees that were let go have a reprieve here. But we still hurt 600 people in a way that we shouldn't hurt 600 people. And so let's put a pin in that piece of it. The employees are still getting screwed here. They're still without pay for a long period of time. Some of them may be able to weather it, some of them may not be able to weather it. Regardless, it's a shit situation for 600 people. And they're coming back into positions that are still uncertain, into a place that hurt them extremely. It's going to be hard to do. They're coming back into new management for sure, and new corporate policies. It makes sense for Sony to want to get back people they don't have to train, that they don't have to spend money to train up to do things the quote unquote Alamo Drafthouse way. That makes sense for them. This saves them money. It's unbelievable and unconscionable that they actually have to apply for these jobs. And maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe they will just give them a blanket of, here's a job offer back. We know what you were making. We're going to bump it up by 10%, and here's your job offer back. That's not going to happen. It's not. It's just not. So we get movies back in DFW at some point late summer. 600 people are still hurt. I implore everyone out there, me included, and this will be hard for me to do, don't go back to a fucking Alamo Drafthouse until every single one of those employees get paid. Don't do it. Don't walk back in those fucking doors until every single one of those people got their money back. Money back. That's a fucking weird way to say it. Get every cent that they're owed. We shouldn't be supporting these organizations that are not paying their employees. And I know technically it wasn't Alamo Drafthouse. It was the franchisee. But fuck all that. Let's go through the timeline here. Let's figure this all out together. So because I want to dig into this, and I hate to be I don't hate it because I do it a lot. I hate to be the always the fucking Debbie Downer and the pessimistic fucking asshole of everything. But in this case, let's go through it. Let's go through the timeline here, because this is all suspect, right? And the things that could have happened didn't happen because somebody wanted to save $1. So post-pandemic, Alamo Drafthouse is Alamo Drafthouse on its own. No one else owns it. It's Alamo Drafthouse. It's Alamo Drafthouse as it's always been. Post-pandemic, they file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and they start to look for buyers. In 2021, the Altamont Capital Group, in addition to some other people, purchased Alamo Drafthouses. There's a few other people that are involved, 3 other venture capitalists and private equity firms. All in all, it's still the same entity. It's bought out by them. And then at that point, they start selling off their assets. So they sold off Drafthouse Films in 2021, very quickly after the purchase, to an organization called Giant Pictures. And then in June of 2022, they sold off Mondo Tees, Mondo Posters, it was just Mondo, to Funko, the little pop creator. And of course, I know you guys all know who that is. Mondo was, if you're not familiar, Mondo was a merchandising arm of the Alamo Drafthouse and worked its way up from like 2009, where they were just making screen printed gig posters for their rolling road shows and their fun little offshoot screenings, to the most important alternative movie poster group that's ever existed. They were creating pop culture screen printed posters that would literally fly off the shelves. The minute they were posted online, they would immediately sell out. Each one of these posters was being put into a national registry. It was a pop culture, monster that created insanely desirable works of art. And so they sold that off because it wasn't profitable. To be fair, it wasn't profitable, but they sold that off. Now, Mondo wasn't only doing posters; they had expanded to toys and to vinyl, and these were high-end toys. These are, I think, sideshow collectible type things. These were $200-$300 large standees of He-Man and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and other pop culture licenses, essentially. And they also were heavily into vinyl, because when vinyl kicked back off, Mondo would dip into soundtracks and work with Waxwork Records to put out a huge vinyl label. And so Funko bought Mondo for like $14 million, and all the people that came with it, with the idea that Mondo would still be the same thing. We'll get back to Mondo in just a minute. So Alamo Drafthouse, acquired by Altamont in 2021. They start selling off Drafthouse films. They sell off Mondo, and everything seems to be going fine, except it's not, because theatrical presentations in the tank. Things never really truly recover from COVID. Theaters are closing left and right all over the country. That when Alamo Drafthouse reopens its theaters after COVID in Dallas, Fort Worth, and these are the franchisees. I keep saying that. These are the franchisees that in DFW, they actually don't open their North Richland Hills location back up. That stays permanently closed. So theaters in the tank, just in general terms, we've overspent. We have too many screens, and we're fighting against a lot of different things, which we talked about in length before. The release window has shrunk down to absolutely nothing, if it even exists at all. And people can, for less than $2,000, buy an 85-inch flat screen for their home. And for $20, they can legitimately rent a film 3 weeks after it's in the theaters to watch with their family, rather than spending $17, $18 per ticket to go and watch the movie at a theater. So it makes sense, right? The theater presentations in tank for a ton of different reasons, hard to get out of, but Altamont starts looking for a way to get out. They post Alamo Drafthouses. They're basically start looking for a seller in March of 2024. So basically 4 months ago. And they start approaching movie studios to purchase it. So in March, we know for a fact that Altamont Capital was looking to sell Alamo Drafthouses. Chapter 7 happens in June. In May, at some point, this is all hearsay, but at some point, the franchisee owners of DFW go to, and again, I don't know if it happened in May, if it happened earlier, if it's been happening multiple times, but the franchisee owners of the Woodbury, Minnesota, and the DFW locations went to Alamo Drafthouse and said, hey, we want to close non-profitable theaters in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Can we do that? And they said, absolutely, close all the theaters you want. But guess what? You're going to still have to pay your franchise fees. So it doesn't make sense for them to close anything down. They put $3.5 million of their own money to keep these theaters afloat, to keep all 6 of them afloat. They couldn't do it. Woe is me. And there's been a lot to come out online. I'm not going to speculate. There's a lot of anger that bubbles up around this. Whether they had bad business practices, there's going to be anger around anytime someone pulls a rug out from underneath you. So I'm not going to dive into, because I have no knowledge of bad business practices or anything bad or negative about the franchise owners. I know that they're shitbirds for doing what they did to the employees. That's the only thing that I have bad about them to say. I don't have any other information other than that. So let's just assume between March and June, they went to Alamo Drafthouse and said, hey, can we close the theater? Alamo Drafthouse said, no. Yes, you can, but you still have to pay us our franchise fees. And fuck you, we're going to clear after chapter 7. Alamo comes out right after that happens. Oh my gosh, what happened? We were surprised as you were. that this was going to happen, that our franchise owners have taken this step, and we are going to work as hard as we possibly can to get the Alamo Drafthouses back into DFW in short order, as quickly as we possibly can. And everyone's like, oh, thank God. Thank God they're going to do it, because we can't live with non-Alamo theaters. But of course, Chapter 7 means you got to liquidate everything, et cetera, et cetera. Or so we thought. So about a week after the Alamo Drafthouse comes out and says, well, we can't believe what happened, then a big announcement that says, hey, Sony Pictures acquires Alamo Drafthouses in its 35 locations across metro areas in the United States. Now that means there used to be 41 theaters. They're only owning 35 cinemas. Now, there are other cinemas. Alamo has some franchise locations. Most of them are corporate, but there are some franchise locations. So they've got 35 theaters. Sony is buying the Alamo, and it's going to continue to operate all 35 theaters. Blah. A week after that, or ish, there is a hearing. And so in June 27th, June 6th they closed down, June 27th, for immediate release, Alamo Drafthouse Cinemas set to return to Dallas-Fort Worth and the Twin Cities this summer. The picture that they chose, I think this is pretty fucking telling. The picture they chose to put in their press release was a man wearing a shark mask in a suit with a thumbs up sign. In a shark mask. Excuse me. I think that's pretty telling, actually. Alamo Drafthouse announces acquisition and reopening of 6 formerly shuttered franchise locations, including DFW's Lake Highlands, Richardson Cedars, Las Colinas, and Denton locations, and Minnesota's Woodbury location. Austin, Texas, June 27, 2024. Alamo Drafthouse Cinemas is excited to announce that it will be reopening its doors in the Dallas-Fort Worth and Twin Cities market this summer. All 6 locations that recently closed as part of the franchisee's Chapter 7 bankruptcy filing will now be owned and operated by Alamo Drafthouse Cinema, Sony, and are set to reopen in rapid succession, including DFW Cedars, Denton, Lake Highlands, Las Colinas, and Richardson. If Las Colinas opens anytime this year, I'd be amazingly shocked. But okay, wherever we're at. I don't know if it's required. That's where we're at. Locations and the Woodbury location in the Twin Cities area of Minnesota. Additionally, Alamo Drafthouse is pleased to share that all affected venue staff will be made whole for lost wages that they were owed prior to the closures. Good. The news comes amidst struggling box office this summer with movies that have been major successes. With surging box office this summer with movies that have been major success at the Alamo Drafthouse, like Bad Boys Ride or Die, The Bike Riders, and Inside Out 2. Yeah, we all know the gangbuster box office that The Bike Riders is doing. We were heartbroken to hear about the franchisee's decision to close their locations in Dallas-Fort Worth and Woodbury. Bullshit. But we immediately got to work, bullshit, to acquire these Alamo Drafthouse-owned locations, said Alamo Drafthouse CEO Michael Klusterman. We're so excited to establish our Alamo Drafthouse Cinema for our teammates and local film communities in great cities during an incredibly successful summer of movie going. Alamo Drafthouse is committed to supporting former DFW and Twin Cities teammates who were adversely affected during these franchise closing by offering past teammates first access to interviews. Fuck you! First access to interviews. You should be giving them their fucking jobs back with no fucking questions asked. Those who are rehired will receive a more robust benefits plan with immediate eligibility, including access to daily pay, substantial 401k match, paid medical leave, accrued PTO, free mental health services. That we fucking caused. Sure, fine. A more robust benefits plan, so you get a corporate benefits plan. Okay, sure. Whatever. Fuck you. Healthcare in the U.S. Fuck you. Alamo Drafthouse will host a soft opening during the first week of each location's reopening with promotions and discounts to be announced. Additionally, individuals owed ticket refunds are due to the sudden closings by the previous owners will receive free ticket vouchers, and guests who previously purchased Alamo Drafthouse's Inside Out 2, Lunchbox, and Deadpool and Wolverine pint glass will receive these items upon reopening. Who gives a fuck? Finally, members of Alamo Drafthouse's Season Pass subscription service will enjoy a free month of service when their accounts are reactivated. Blah, 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 blah. So, hey, kick ass, right? You guys can all apply for your old jobs back. Cool. So, that's where we're at. Late this summer, we'll see soft openings, rolling openings of these other theaters. Again, if Las Colinas opens, I'd be shocked. But that's what they're saying at this time. And maybe it'll open for a little bit of time. Maybe it won't. Who knows? But hey, screw you to all of you, because you knew. You all knew, right? You knew this was happening. And at the end of the day, what does this mean? This means that Sony saved a shit ton of money. $6 million was cheaper than whatever they were going to have to do to get the franchises back from the franchise owners when they came to you and said, hey, can we shut these down? You saved millions of dollars, most likely. Millions of dollars, so much money you saved that you could easily outbid 2 combined competitors. That's how much money you saved. So congratulations, we're back. You got your theaters back. Pay those fucking people. Do right by them. Don't make them interview. Give them their fucking jobs back. So we're all happy, right? We're all happy that Sony owns the Alamo Drafthouse, that a corporation is taking this over. Now, granted, I know they've been owned by private equity for a while. Things have changed since they were owned by the private equity. Their rewards program sucks balls now. Their top brass thing is basically non-existent. Their loyalty program sucks. And that, I'm just saying the same thing over and over again there. By and large, the overall experience has declined. They haven't opened up all of their special screenings back post-COVID. All the fun things that they were doing, they're not all back. They're enough back where people are not complaining, but they're not all back. This is not the Alamo Drafthouse pre-COVID. Now, nothing is the same that it is pre-COVID, but this is not the Alamo Drafthouse pre-COVID. This is certainly not the Alamo Drafthouse pre-private equity. Taking a drink here. See, this is normally when Brock would jump in with some witty insight rather than me having to speak the entire time. So let's go. So now Sony owns these guys. It's not, and it's another corporation. Let's see what happened. Let's see what's going on with Mondo, right? So Funko acquired Mondo back in 2022, June of 2022. And at the time, Funko was saying, "Oh, we're so happy. We're so happy with everything." And here is our comment. So Funko CEO Andrew Perlmutter told Variety the deal for Mondo was finalized a week after Memorial Day in 2022. Mondo's devoted fan base and high-end pop culture collectibles make it the perfect complement to Funko's current portfolio of brands. By leveraging our international distribution and licensing network, we feel well positioned to expedite the growth of the Mondo brand. Blah, blah, blah. And here's all the things that we're going to do. We got Dune soundtrack on vinyl, Wizard of Oz soundtrack, a Rick and Morty deluxe figure set, a Hulk poster, some Fight Club, Dust Brothers soundtracks, blah, 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 blah. And so Tim Lee comes out and says, over the past few months, we've searched exhaustively to find a perfect partner who saw what was unique and special about Mondo and was in a position to meaningfully invest in Mondo's and nurture the team and further its reach and vision. Funko is exactly that unicorn. That unicorn. The team that made Mondo amazing is staying together, making the transition to Funko, and will continue the same work with the same creative vision. Funko is the unicorn. The team is staying together. Sony Pictures acquires Alamo. Let's bounce forward just real quick. We believe strongly in the Alamo brand. I'm not reading directly here because it doesn't say the exact same thing, but it's close. It says something along the lines of, we're beyond thrilled to join. This is Alamo saying we're beyond thrilled to join forces with Sony. But we believe, so this is Sony saying we believe strongly in engaging in entertainment fans outside of the home and in fun and distinctive ways, and blah, blah, blah. Alamo Drafthouse's differentiated movie-going experience, admired brand, and devoted community fit well with his vision. We look forward to building upon the innovations that have made Alamo Drafthouse successful, and will, of course, continue to welcome content from all studios and distributors. Basically saying, hey, we're not only going to show Morbius and Madam Web. And the the press release does make a note to say that the leadership team of the Alamo Drafthouse will remain in place and continue to operate out of Austin, et cetera, et cetera. So remember that Mondo thing. Funko, hey, the team is great. The innovative, visionary team will remain in place. Mondo puts out a special message. I'm sorry, Funko puts out a special message regarding Mondo in March 31st of June 2023. They purchased them in June. I'm sorry, March 31st. Did I say June of 2023? March 31st of 2023. They purchased them in June of 2022. So less than a year later. Funko has been obsessed with Mondo and the amazing products that they produce for years. We believe Mondo is a pop culture tastemaker and always has their finger on the pulse of everything that is cool. Since there's a lot of misinformation about the recent change in leadership in the poster division of Mondo, which, let me break in for a second, Funko fired all of that creative team. All of them. The team that made Mondo what it was, they fired all of them. Since there's been a lot of misinformation about the recent change in leadership and poster division of Mondo currently out there, I can tell you that our strategy is very clear. We're a corporation. We don't give a fuck about those people anymore. They didn't say that either. While we did reduce our overall workers by 10% across Funko, the majority of company-wide layoffs weren't in Mondo. Well, that's nice, but just because fucking Mondo only had 31 employees. Of course, the majority of your company-wide layoffs weren't in Mondo. The Mondo poster business will continue, period, even though we fired everyone who made that business what it was. We feel that making extremely limited runs on posters, most of which are 150 pieces or under, limits access to fans unfairly, blah, blah, blah. They're basically saying we were losing money and the way that we were doing business wasn't profitable. To be fair, that is correct. They were not profitable. They didn't have a real way to get out of that other than increasing poster sizes or poster run sizes. So what they would do is they would sell posters for, depending on the artist, depending on the license and the property, they'd sell 150 posters or 250 posters at a certain price point. It was it was a very intensive process. It was and the margins weren't great. So what the intent was is they were going to raise the prices and raise the runs. Now, to be fair to Funko, supposedly the leadership of Mondo was not, at least not all of them were on board with that change. Now, I don't have any real insight, but they weren't. So to that end, they were fired. And in doing so, they alienated every single fan, not every single fan, but most of the fans who knew about these guys and the artists that worked with Mondo. And so that was less than a year later. Less than a year later. Sony has bought Alamo Drafthouse in June of 2024. Will we see a similar press release in March of 2025? Don't know. But let me leave you with this. On the Reddit for the Alamo Drafthouse, the Alamo Drafthouse boards on Reddit, just this past week, and some of the things that have been changing, the way that the Alamo Drafthouse is not the same post-COVID, post-private equity, is they have been heavily invested in union busting, in union squashing. In Littleton, Colorado, 4 managers were fired without notice. And all 4 of those managers were involved in union organization for their employees at that location, at that branch. So, we'll see. Will Alamo remain the same? Will it be the same place that it was that we loved before? Will the creative team even want to come back? If they do come back, will they be offered the same opportunities they were offered beforehand? Only time will tell, and I guess we'll find out starting late summer of 2024. Again, let's hope every single dime is paid back to those employees. Let's hope every single one of those employees is offered a position without having to interview, or if the interview process should take no longer than 5 minutes to say, hey, the only question they should ask is, do you want to come back? I'm glad that the Alamo Drafthouses are back. At the end of the day, I am glad. It is a better movie theater going experience than we get in most of the places here in Dallas-Fort Worth. And they do have programming that speaks to quote-unquote real movie fans. I don't have a whole lot of hope, but I'll keep my fingers crossed. Until next time, guys, keep screaming.
And over the line went 179. Hey, Santa Ana, we're killing your soldiers below, that men, wherever they go, will remember the Alamo.
You have been listening to Why Does the Wilhelm Scream with your hosts, Brock and Jason. If you liked today's episode, do us a favor and rate, review, and subscribe in whatever application you use to consume podcasts these days. You can reach us by visiting whydoesthewilhelmscream.com. If you are in the DFW area, we would love to see you at a Fort Worth Film Club event. You can learn more about those and find a full schedule at fortworthfilmclub.com. And you can learn about my foundation and how we are trying to foster the next generation of film lovers at realhousefoundation.org. That's REEL housefoundation.org. Till next time.